Good morning, everyone. This is an Apple a Day with your host, Apple here. Hope you all are doing well. We're going to go ahead and get started with our 5-minute meditation. I wake up happy and smiling every morning. I'm a channel of love and healing. I find miracles in the everyday. I find it easy to maintain a positive attitude. I am proud of myself for getting this far. I read affirmations every day. I am incredibly grateful for the unique opportunities that await me on my journey through life. I am and have enough. I know that someone out there is ready for the best version of me. I am making positive changes in all areas of my life. I only let positive thoughts into my mind. I am improving life. I am ceaselessly grateful for the amazing life I get to live. I am grateful in advance because I trust that wonderful things are coming my way. I possess an endless well of joy. I am grateful for the chance to live my best life. I am completely present in the moment. I am grateful for the power to change my life to suit my dreams. I am smart and successful. I trust that what is meant for me will be. Gratitude powers my compassion. Living a life filled with gratitude fills me with deep joy. I live my truth. I am grateful for the peace, prosperity, and joy in my life today. I allow my life to unfold in harmony with the universe's designs. I am grateful that even on tough days, I am able to recognize and acknowledge the good things that surround me. I am increasingly grateful for the joys in my life. My life is abundant in happiness and joy. I am so thankful for all of the good things in my life right now. I am filled with gratitude for the many people who shower me with love. All my actions lead to abundance and prosperity. I am creating the perfect me. I see my future in the universe's plans for me. I am not trapped or stuck. Everything is always changing. I trust that I am a part of something much bigger than myself. I am the manifestation of my wildest dreams. I am okay. I am intentional in my choices. I am beautiful inside and out. I take steps every day that bring me closer to discovering my purpose in life. I live my days with purpose and intention. I'm in alignment with my dreams and aspirations. I am supported on every step of my journey. I am pure light and endless love. I am always safe and protected. I radiate positive vibes and return sheer happiness in return. I radiate positive vibes and receive sheer happiness in return. I set my fears and worries loose. I view my mission as a sacred journey. I am respected and valued. I vow to treat others with compassion and acceptance. I am transformed by the power of love. I am so grateful for the ability to reset my thoughts and actions when I don't like them. I deserve the world. I am moved to wonder by the beauty that surrounds me. And that will do it for our 5-minute meditation. Let's go ahead and get right into the episode topic. Hello, everyone, and we're gonna get right into our episode topic. So this week's episode topic question, or questions really, is how do you set boundaries for yourself? And what are some of the things you set up boundaries for? So the main topic this week is boundaries. And I thought it would be a really good idea to address this topic because the first of major holidays is right around the corner. We have Thanksgiving and then we have Christmas. And for some people, that is like one of their most favorite times of the year. They get to see family, they get to see friends, they get to, fellowship with one another and, have a good old time. But it is also a time for hardship for some people. It is sometimes where people do not have family to go home to, or it could also be that, the family that they do have is not the best in terms of how they treat the individual going back. So I thought it would be really good to address this topic because it may be helpful for you all going out into the world, whether it's dealing with family, friends, or just dealing with like social interactions in general, because I know sometimes they have stuff at like work. What is the best way to like employ methods to make your boundaries known and to how you stand on them, really? So the first of which I'll talk about for these is school. So school is very multifaceted in terms of boundaries. You have to set boundaries for not only yourself, but for other people as well. So when it comes to setting boundaries in school or for school, right, you hold yourself accountable to, study a certain amount of time, do certain things, be involved in certain ways, stuff like that. And if you take up all your time during school, saying yes to everybody, for example, you may not have time to do things you really, really want to do because it may cause overlap. Or let's just say maybe you don't have as many things, but like it just so happens that, you have 3 things to do from 3 different orgs or 3 different things from 3 different people that you agree to. And they're all around the same time, or at least maybe they're overlapping. Part of knowing how to navigate spaces like that, I would say for one, it starts with a planner. Knowing what your engagements are, who they're with, how long it's going to take, what forum it's in or format, So for example, if we have a Friendsgiving planned for school for an org, right? I have certain times set up to go to that. But let's say I also have like a review session at the exact same time. This is actually true. I did have a review session at this time, right? So for me, the balance there would be, they're both happening at the same time. But what's the format? Friendsgiving is in person, the help session's on Zoom. I know that the Zoom, or the Zoom or Microsoft Teams, but I know that the recording for the help session will be made available the day after it happens. So, knowing that that's the case, I'll not go to it in person maybe and, go to the in-person thing. You can still say yes to both depending on the format, something like that. In terms of setting boundaries with others in school or like orgs or wherever you're involved, it really comes down to the amount of time that you have. And it's really important that not only are you penciling in time to do these things, you also need to pencil in and make sure that you have time for yourself. As much as I'm the type of person that wants to go and help everyone I can, or at least everything I'm involved in, I want to have some type of support because I want people to be successful. I want them to, grow in their passions and their purpose and where they're going in life, in their career. But I know realistically I can't say yes to everything. We have like a lot of fundraisers and stuff over here, and I'm so quick to want to like buy everything, because I want to support. I want to, I want them to grow. I want to see what they can do, and you need monetary support to do certain things. Whether it's host a certain event or see where they grow as an org. But it gets very hard to do that when you don't have money to spread out like that. You have, necessities that you have to worry about. Whether that be food or household appliances or household things in general. You might have to pick and choose what you spend your money on. And it becomes very unfortunate that it's like that. Especially when you really do want to show support. In occasions and stuff like that where you can't show like monetary support, I find that a lot of people, they say either, donate or share. So it's like, encouraging other people, if they have the funds, if they're at that point, to, buy and support financially, or, support by sharing, getting others to buy. It's kind of like a pass it down, or a pay it forward, but you're not paying. You're asking the next person to pay it. That's kind of funny in that sense. But like those are two ways that you can set boundaries with yourself and others. Another boundary you would set with like yourself and others comes with when you're taking classes. As I mentioned before, like you decide on how much time you're going to allot to each thing that you're involved in. It's also very important to have that time for yourself. The reason why it's so important to have that time for yourself is because you really want to make sure that like you're not overcommitting, and stressing yourself in the process of wanting to help people or make people proud and things like that. And I think that's a thing that we kind of forget sometimes, is that as much as it's important for you to if you pay money for something to be involved, or like as much as you want to use those opportunities to like get ahead in your career or just build your career and your network, it's just as important, if not more important, to care for yourself and have boundaries for yourself. Um, like if you're going through stuff, you may choose to discuss it with somebody, and like a boundary is who you discuss it to and how much you discuss, right? So like you may designate certain information to different people. Like if you're talking to a counselor or somebody like at that level, or an instructor, maybe like an advisor, um, you may tell them everything that's going on, but and that may include like what's bothering you now, as well as like where it's sourced from, like how long it's been going on, stuff like that. But you can also have it so that your boundary for them, it's like it's just strictly professional. You don't see them as anybody, but like you just kind of, it's not even venting really. I mean it's venting, but it's more than that. It's literally like just drop, it's really you dropping everything that you've been holding on your shoulders. So like someone knows, even if it's just one person, that one person knows everything that's going on. So like when something goes wrong, they can check on you, that you can, they can hold you accountable for things that you're supposed to be doing, but also look to see like, hey, to make sure that you're doing all right, and like you're properly balancing the things that are going on within your life. Another aspect of setting boundaries is work. Um, this can go for whether you're employed by somebody or you're your own boss. So a lot of times people have problems with work because they don't, either they don't have a work-life balance. That's, I would say, more for entrepreneurs, because um, sometimes it, or even if you're a remote worker, sometimes it is hard to not only differentiate but like tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna work for this amount of time, and then like not look at work anymore. It's like if you still have stuff to be done, you know, you probably want to get it done, especially if it's something that has to be done. um you don't really have as much wiggle room to have pushback. And a lot of entrepreneurs I've read have struggled with knowing when to, just shut off and just, have time for themselves. It's not even about um them not doing what they're supposed to do. It's just sometimes work takes over. A boundary you set at like a job where you're, you know, being appointed and told whatever by somebody. In those instances, like you have to set boundaries. Like I know, this is more for. I mean, this is actually across the board. It doesn't really matter if you're minimum wage or not. But the work-life balance of like, hey, I'm putting in this amount of hours, you know. For example, if your hourly wage, you put in a certain amount of hours. That's, what's expected of you, whether you're part-time or half-time, part-time or full-time, excuse me. But then you have, like, when you're understaffed at that location or whatever that company is, they, may call you in to work overtime. But it's like, yes, it's understood because, you need help and your employees do understand that. But at the same time, you take away from their time to either self-reflect, their time for just themselves. You take away that time because it's now converted to work time if they decide to go. And yes, you get compensated for it. That's not really the problem with overtime. Overtime, I'm not saying it shouldn't exist or anything like that. It should exist, but it's just, you have to understand the balance for work and life. And, I've seen people, even close friends, that have valued, just making the extra dollar over, you know, realistically their own sanity, putting in a certain amount of hours and being so young. and they kind of, you know, stopped living their life and they just really started existing. Like they don't have time to do any of their extracurriculars, whether it's playing video games or reading or just, you know, just chilling, sleeping. They kind of sacrifice that for money. And in some instances, you know, that might be what's best for you, especially if like you need it or you are planning for something, you need that money. I can understand it, but I always, you know, try to caution them that this is great, you know, I'm happy that you're, you know, you're getting in your bag. You're making your money. That's great, but also I'm just here to remind you to take time for yourself. So you don't get overwhelmed and you don't get burned out from doing something that you're maybe not love, or if it's something that you don't want to also get burned out on that either, especially if it's something that's the passion of yours. Next aspect is relationships. There are so many relationship boundaries to be had. Number one really goes without saying, consent. And this is like across the board for any interaction that you have. It's not just like sexual. Any interaction you have with an individual, you go into it with certain boundaries, certain expectations of how things should be. And for example, if you go in on a first date and you have the expectation that, you know, he could hold your hand or she could hold your hand or whoever can hold your hand, right? The boundary is that, you know, they can touch you, right? But it's not like a lot of touching, not a lot of physical contact in general. It's just like maybe very brief moments of contact. Unless like maybe you're having a deep conversation, y'all hold hands during that, and that's fine too. Another aspect is like I mentioned a little bit, sexual boundaries. Really important to, you know, state those ahead of time so people know how to navigate a relationship with you. And this is whether it's talking about stuff, actually doing stuff, the whole shebang, pun intended. All aspects you have boundaries with. You have boundaries with how you allow your significant other to talk to you or address you, stuff like that, right? You know, sometimes I'm just like, I'm called a pet name. When I get called my real name, I'm like, what did I do wrong? And, you know, it could freak you out. It also can, you know, be a boundary of like what kind of pet name that you can be called. Maybe if it's like more like semi insulting, but like you're fine with it, like it's, you know, as long as it's consensual, it's fine. But it can also veer into territory which can be manipulative or abusive, physically, emotionally, or spiritually. In those instances, it's very important that you set boundaries, and not just boundaries. Really, it's overall expectations. I mean, it really is boundaries, more than expectations, because expectations, like, if you have expectations, you expect somebody to do or act a certain way, but it is tied to your boundary. And I would say that it's better to set a boundary because a boundary is there to protect you. It's not for you to look at the other person and say, hey, they're insufficient in XYZ and how they're relating to me and they should do better. It's not about that, which is why I want to differentiate between the expectation. A boundary is you setting up rules for how you are going to be treated. And if you're not treated in that way, then it's bye bye birdie. Like they're not going to be involved in your life, or like they aren't going to have the pull that they have because they're not following the rules to be able to interact with you, and may end up having certain people cut off, or I don't want to say ghost them, but like sometimes I guess it would lead to ghosting. But you just not talking to them because they don't they don't come correct with how they address you and how they talk to you, and based off of how you want your relationship to go. It's very important that you set the tone for that very, very early on, which is important, as I said, for setting the tone, but that means you have to be very intentional. Um, that's not to say that everybody is going to, you know, get into a relationship or, you know, talk to somebody for like marriage or to be in a relationship. But whatever you are there for, let it be known, so that the other person has the opportunity to choose, hey, I'd want to, you know, engage in whatever this is with you, or you know, they may say, I'd rather not engage with this with you. And it may just be because they don't like you like that, or it could also just be that like you guys have a mismatch in what you guys want. And I think it's really, really important to have compatibility in what you want in any type of relationship like this. It builds respect, it builds trust in doing so, and it saves people from heartbreak. And I think that's even like more important, to save people from heartbreak. It's just, it's a way of being selfless and showing that you actually care for somebody beyond yourself. Like, there are ways that you can be selfish but still show care for others beyond yourself, and I think that is a way to do it, especially if you're like, you really don't like the person you like and you know they like you. Saying no because maybe you don't like them because you know you may not be good for them, kind of thing. I think that's a selfish thing, in the sense of like, well, let's say that you know you would not be good for them, but also you don't like them like that. It's a selfish thing in that like they're not your type, but it's also a selfless thing because you know that you will not be able to give them what they actually desire in a relationship. And you know, I have respect and props for people that are able to accurately and, you know, I don't want to say proudly because that's not really a word for it, but they're able to do things like that. It shows me the type of character that you have. Another aspect of boundaries, good lord, relationships. First one, and then we'll go into like a little bit different types of relationships, because relationships I was talking about there is more like romantic, but even like platonic relationships too. You want to set boundaries so that people know it's just a platonic relationship, and that goes for you making it known to that person that it's supposed to be platonic, because you don't want to be on the wrong page. Again, leads to heartbreak, breaking trust, respect. If those aren't known, if you don't know, if you are, you know, say for example, friends with the opposite sex, and it makes your partner uncomfortable because of who they are, you want to, you know, make sure your partner knows, hey, it's a platonic friendship. But you would have to, a lot of times nowadays, because a lot of people have been kind of jaded because of relationships and people acting one way or another, I would say most often with that, you would have to come with proof. So if that is a platonic friend, be able to come with proof to prove such, just to ease your partner's mind. That's more of like between you and your partner, what is going to be needed for them to trust that aspect, because you know, you may be the person that jaded them before, but they may not trust that in general because say their ex cheated on them with their best friend, kind of thing, right? To not be in the same position, come with receipts, be able to, you know, prove that it's not that type of relationship, is not a romantic one at all, and they're like, it's platonic and it's staying platonic. Again, that's for you and your relationships to sort out the ins and outs of that. And to make sure with that, you also are building trust within your relationship, because they can trust you to be around, I wouldn't say everybody, but certain people, or at least they will trust your character, because they know how you are, because you've shown them that you can trust them, and you've showed them that you have respect for them, and that's not, you don't just hang around any type of people. You don't hang around people that like you may have had a history with and cause problems, but in general, especially when, so I'll give an example. A lot of times when people that I've seen, when people go out and like they go on trips and or they'll go out a night on town or whatever, and they're not with their significant other, a lot of times I've seen the significant other is upset because of two main reasons. One, it's their own insecurity, and it could potentially be their own infidelity. Or two, they don't trust their partner that is going out. So I think it's always very, very important to, as I mentioned before, have your intentions set, have your boundaries set, and have those things be known, so that can instill trust in your partner, and that should be done within the first of you meeting them. You need to establish that trust and that foundation, because it will become infinitely harder to build it if you've kind of been wishy-washy initially, and they're trying to see if like you changed. I can understand, I can see the point of view of like, maybe you were talking with them, but you were also talking to other people, so like you were wishy-washy in that sense. But again, part of transparency and trust and respect is, you would let your partner know, or if they weren't your partner at that point, you would let the person know that you're talking to. Hey, I'm talking to other people. Are you okay with this? Da 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 da. This is what I'm gonna do, so that they're not only aware of this, but they know like where you stand and know how much trust they can place in you. Because if you're honest about that, that is a hard thing to do, to tell people that you may be interested in other people, and you may be talking to other people, and they might not be the final one even. I was just talking really fast. So sorry. But in instances like that, you still want to make sure that they know, hey, talking to other people, I was dealing with other people. Let them know. The worst thing you can do is not let them know, and then they find out through a source they did not want to find out, and that source is basically anybody but you. That's automatic trust shattered there. And a lot of times people will choose how they interact with you based off of stuff like that. How honest you are with them will say how much trust they put in you, how much respect they give to you. And if you're not honest with them from the get-go, it becomes very hard for them to honestly treat you in the best way that they should, because they always have that in the back of their mind lingering. So, one of my policies is to always be open and honest. That's not to say just go out hurting people and their feelings, but definitely be transparent with your interactions with anybody. Be intentional with your dating. Let people know what is going on. Don't leave them out of the loop, because they're trying to be in a relationship with you. Then like if you're leaving them out the loop, they don't know how to tango with your waltz. Y'all are dancing two different dances, and somebody's toes are gonna end up getting stepped on, and that's not gonna be a pretty sight. Moving on to another aspect of relationships, family relationships, right, or familial. It's super important to set family boundaries. Super, super important. As I mentioned before, this time of year sometimes is not the best for everybody. And one of the most important aspects is to be respectful, but let it be known how you will and won't be treated. And it might make people, especially older people, feel some type of way because, they may say, oh, you're talking back to me. No, I'm just telling you how I'm going to be treated. And if you're going to treat me any less than what I feel like I deserve or the boundary that I've set, then we will not be having any interactions together. And that just is how it is. Sometimes that requires you to, just say, hey, I'm not going to be talking about this. Like, you can't ask about this about my life. You can't ask if I'm married. You can't ask this. You can't ask that. You can't ask when I'm having kids. Like, I know especially for women, that one right there is, or that line of questioning gets super, super annoying. Especially when you're doing other things in life. You want to focus on those other things. You may not necessarily want to focus on, marriage or kids, even if you even want those things. One of the ways that you can do that is, redirect it to ask about different things going on with their life. Or you could just say, hey, I'm not interested in those things, but hey, this is what I am interested in. We can talk about this aspect of my growth and of myself as a person. And I think that's really awesome. I would always say, no matter what, even if people don't show you that respect, always show them that respect, because then, to be honest, how I seen it is that it's like a reverse psychology thing. When you show people respect and sometimes not everybody works like this, but some people, if you show them respect and they have not been respecting you, sometimes they start to feel bad. Even if it takes a long time, they start to feel bad sometimes. And because they start to feel bad, they're like, well, dang, like, maybe I shouldn't be, so abrasive with how I address them or this or that. And, that for sure, for sure, plays a big part in family interactions. Make sure this holiday season that you are setting your boundaries. And if the boundaries have already been set and they're not being, respected, make sure you reinforce them with consequences. I'll talk about that more in the overall. Another aspect of the relationship boundaries is in friendships. As I said before, like, sometimes you have certain people that you talk about with certain things, and it's not always peaches and cream. Sometimes it's not. But with that, you want to make sure that with whatever you're doing, whatever friendship it is, be intentional. I know for me, I have friends that I talk to about different things. There are certain friends that I have that I will talk to anything about. And, like, that's super cool for me because, I don't have to, just find somebody to talk about specific things. But you also want to make sure that there is a balance with what you're addressing to them and balance of how you talk about other things. Because if I had a person that used to be a friend, and we would talk about a boy, and she would ask me things about him because I was friends with him, and we were both in school together, so it was like, school boys, typical experience for growing girls, or growing young women, I should say. But our conversation basically ended up only being about him. I had a significant other at the time, so it was awkward in that sense because like he's my friend, but the amount that he's been talked about in my DMs, it's weird. It made me really really uncomfortable. Um, and I was like, hey, I would like to talk about something other than this boy. Um, it just feels overwhelming, and then a lot of it was talking with them was just drama, and I'm just like, I'm not one for drama. I don't really want to be hearing it, listening to it like that. Um, especially when like it's people that are close to me that I know can get hurt from whatever is going on. I'm just like, hey, I set up the boundary then. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Um, let's talk about this. But like then the conversation afterwards, it was just very strange because like I could still tell that she only wanted to talk about this boy, and it just got to a point where I couldn't be friends with her anymore. Um, like it was driving me insane. Like I felt like I had the problems that they were having, and I wasn't even in the relationship. And I'm just like, bro, I have my own relationship problems or my own relationship, things that I have to go through. So it's like I don't want to be in a relationship with y'all too. Like, leave me alone. uh, but yeah, especially for stuff like that. Sometimes you have friends that you may talk to about relationships. Some people, friends you may not be able to talk to relationships about. I've had instances where I couldn't talk to people about, you know, my happiness or who I was dating because, for lack of better terms, they were bitter and they did not have significant other things were stress for them, and it basically caused a strain whenever I would try to talk to them, and it just it sucks in that instance because like you would want your friends to be happy for you, and if it is something that is really hard for them and it is something that you guys should talk about and you come to an understanding, hey, I don't want to really hear about this type of stuff right now because I'm going through my own stuff. um but you could just be like, hey, happy for you, proud of you that you have this, but we can't talk about this for right now or just in general, and that's okay too. um as I said multiple times already, be intentional, be open and honest. um Problems really start to arise when you hide your intentions or meanings or feelings about things, and you don't want that. You want to live a relatively problem-free life, at least to the extent that you can help it. So like one of the best ways to do that is to not let people walk all over you. um have those boundaries. um Discern who you want to tell what, because honestly some people actually can't be trusted to be told everything and anything. So that's another thing to watch out for, keep in mind. uh but for sure, the more you make it known, the more honest you are about stuff like that, the easier it is going to be. The easier it is going to be. Okay, for a wrap up on this topic, the overall, uh when it comes to boundaries, make sure that you are reinforcing them. Don't just set boundaries, right? The second aspect comes with setting boundaries is making sure that they're adhered to, making sure that people understand that there are consequences for their actions, right? I know y'all seen that meme, constantly. The little boy. Uh, there will be consequences for your actions. Um, there's a very wide range of what that can mean for different people. Um, for me, a lot of times it's just like, if you're not gonna be able to do this, I'm just not going to talk to you like that anymore. I might not talk to you at all, depending on what boundary you were violating. I'm very quick to, I wouldn't say I'm very quick to cut people off, but I'm very quick to cut people off in the sense that, like, if you are disturbing my mental health or my mental peace, you got to go. I'm sorry. I value my mental health way too much. Way too much. To, just sit here and let you just walk all over me. I'm not that person. And for me, the easiest thing to do is just, be silent, stop talking, because that's a lot of what I did growing up. I was just more silent than anything. So when I take away that access, people have to me, which is another aspect. I'll probably talk about them again soon. I'll get to that one probably in another podcast episode. But yeah, make sure that you set boundaries and also identify consequences for when those boundaries are broken. Again, boundaries are not for the other person. They are there to protect you, your well-being, your mental, physical, and emotional, and spiritual health. It's only for you. And if you love you, then I'm not saying it's going to be easy to do everything, but at least to say, hey, this is a boundary, that needs to start becoming easy for you, because you shouldn't want other people to walk over you like that. You are more than enough to not have that happen to you. And I hope that this talk really gives you insight into seeing that is the truth. Alright, so we're gonna wrap up the episode for this week with 3 good things. Alright, so 3 good things. I went shopping earlier this week. So I would say 3. Didn't have class on Tuesday. Didn't really have anything to do on Tuesday. Because I didn't have anything to do on Tuesday. This is number 2. I got to go shopping. I got to go shopping for some nice little things. Really cute in preparation for the holidays and my birthday, which is on the 19th. Happy early birthday to me. I will be turning 26. Thank you all in advance for your birthday wishes. I really appreciate and understand how cherished and loved I am, and it means the world to me. To make it to 26, really. Old woman status. Off insurance. Anyways, so I could say the 3rd is my birthday, but it's really, I get to be around family. And the semester is ending. It's really more than 3 good things, like shopping. And it's more for like practical things as well. I don't just go shopping not to shop. I really wish I could just go shopping to shop, but I always get like practical things. Either something I need or something that's needed for the house. Most of what I got was needed for the house, or was stuff I got for the house, I should say. I don't know. It's just, I have a lot to be thankful for. A lot of good things happening right now, which feels very nice. I'll make sure that I don't take them for granted. As always, thank you all so much for tuning in and listening. I know this one was a little bit of a longer one, closing in more towards that 1 hour mark. But I hope that you all have a very blessed week. If you don't hear from me next week, happy Thanksgiving, or at least happy break for those that don't necessarily celebrate. If you have questions, comments, concerns, reach out to me on social media. Also, if you're listening on Spotify, I want to let you guys know that there is an interactive portion on every single one of my podcasts. For these opposite topic questions, not only can you journal them for yourself, that you can also answer them in Spotify, and I can talk to you guys about them. I'm really looking forward to doing more creative and interactive things with you guys, and I would just say stay tuned for that. But I'm also on TikTok now. I think I'm going to be moving away from Twitter, now known as X, and I'm going to be moving towards TikTok. So I'm at an apple a day on TikTok. So definitely look me up. I will put it in my socials and update it on my website. But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening in as always. I hope you all have a very blessed week and you have a good one. All right. Bye everyone.